Number 1. Casey Anthony. A little girl was missing. No one had seen her for 31 days. Her name was Kaylee. She was only 2 years old. But her mother, Casey Anthony, didn't tell the police. Instead, she partied. She smiled. She even got a new tattoo. When police asked, she said, "The nanny took her." But the truth was much darker. This is the true story of Casey Anthony, the mother who fooled a nation and walked free. It was 2008. Casey Anthony lived in Orlando, Florida, with her parents, Cindy and George, and her little girl, Kaylee. Kaylee was cute, with big brown eyes. She loved swimming and being with Grandma. Everyone adored her. Casey was just 22. She didn't have a job. She didn't finish school. But she always had plans, even if they weren't real. Her parents said, "She lies, but she loves Kaylee." They had no idea what was coming. On July 15, 2008, Cindy called 911. She said, "It smells like there's been a dead body in the car." She also said something shocking. "My granddaughter has been missing for 31 days. Police rushed over. They asked Casey, "Where's Kaylee?" Casey said, "A woman named Zonnie took her. She's the nanny." But there was no nanny. No one had ever seen her. The police were confused. Casey said, "I've been looking for Kaylee myself. But her phone showed something else." While Kaylee was missing, Casey was out. She went to bars. She danced at parties. She took pictures smiling with friends. She got a tattoo that said Bella Vita, beautiful life. Cindy, her mother, kept asking, "Where's Kaylee?" Casey always had an excuse. But the police knew something wasn't right. The police started a full search. Volunteers walked through forests and parks. Dogs sniffed cars and backyards. They checked Casey's car. The trunk smelled bad, like death. They found a hair that matched Kaylee. They also found chloroform on the car seats. People started watching. TV channels played the story all day. The world wanted justice. Everyone hoped Kaylee was alive. But hope was fading. On December 11, 2008, a man walking through the woods near the Anthony home saw a bag. Inside was something small. Something wrapped in blankets and trash bags. It was Kaylee's skull, with duct tape still stuck across her mouth. Police cried. Reporters were silent. The world finally knew. Kaylee was dead. And all eyes turned to her mother. Casey Anthony was arrested, charged with first-degree murder. The courtroom was packed. TV crews broadcasted every moment. America watched, heartbroken and angry. The prosecutors said, "She killed Kaylee with chloroform. She taped her mouth, then threw her away like trash." They showed her lies. The party pictures. The fake nanny. The smell in the car. But Casey's lawyers said something strange. Her lawyer, Jose Baez, told the jury, Kaylee drowned in the family pool. He said Casey's father, George, helped cover it up. He even claimed George had abused Casey as a child. George denied everything. He cried on the stand. The defense said, Casey lied because she was scared. But many people didn't believe them. They believed she killed her child. Still, the case had no cause of death. No fingerprints. No witnesses. On July 5, 2011, the jury gave its decision. Casey stood quietly. America held its breath. Not guilty. Of murder. Not guilty. Of child abuse. Only guilty. Of lying to police. She walked out of jail a few weeks later. A free woman. People were stunned. Some cried. Some screamed. How could a mother lie for 31 days? And walk free? Casey disappeared for a while. She got death threats. People called her the most hated woman in America. Later, she tried to live a normal life. She opened a photography business. She gave an interview years later. She said, "I sleep okay at night because I know I didn't hurt my daughter." But many don't believe her. To this day, people ask, what really happened to Kaylee? Number 2. Diane Downs. It was a cold spring night. A red car raced through the streets of Oregon. A mother screamed in the hospital parking lot. Her 3 children had just been shot. She said a stranger did it. But soon, the world would discover the truth. And it would shock everyone. This is the story of Diane Downs, the mother who shot her children to chase love. Diane Downs looked like any other mom. She had 3 kids, Christy, Cheryl, and Danny. She worked at the U.S. Post Office in Oregon. She smiled at neighbors. She seemed like a loving mom. But behind the smile, Diane had secrets. She wanted freedom. She wanted love. And she didn't want her kids getting in the way. It was May 19, 1983. Diane said she was taking the kids on a drive. They were laughing, listening to music. Then, she said, a man waved her down on a dark road. She stopped the car. She told police. He wanted my car. Then he shot the kids. She said he tried to shoot her too. But she fought him off. Then she raced to the hospital. But something felt wrong. At the hospital, doctors were stunned. Cheryl, age 7, was already dead. Danny, just 3, was paralyzed from the chest down. Christy, 8 years old, had a bullet near her heart. The doctors worked fast. They fought to save the kids. But Diane? She stood in the hallway. Calm. Cold. Smiling. A nurse said. She didn't seem like a mother who just lost her child. Police searched for the man Diane described. A stranger. A carjacker. A monster. But they found no witnesses. No signs of struggle. And the most important clue. Diane's own gun matched the bullets. Still, she kept telling her story. Again and again, with different details each time. Detectives started to wonder. Was Diane lying? Then came a twist. Diane had a lover, a man from her job. But he didn't want kids. He told her clearly, "I can't be with you if you have children." Police believed this was the motive. Diane wanted to keep the man. And she believed her kids were in the way. So she made a choice. A choice that would destroy lives. While Diane smiled in front of cameras, little Christy was still fighting to live. She was weak. She couldn't speak. But doctors waited. And one day, she whispered. Police came. They asked softly, "Who shot you?" Christy said one word. "Mom." That word changed everything. In 1984, Diane Downs stood trial for murder and attempted murder. She wore bright clothes. She smiled for cameras. She even said she was pregnant again, to gain sympathy. The jury heard the truth. Her gun matched the crime. Her story kept changing. Her daughter said she did it. The jury didn't take long. Diane was found guilty. She was sentenced to life in prison plus 50 years. But the story didn't end there. In 1987, Diane escaped from prison. She was free for 10 days before police caught her. Even in prison, she told new stories. She blamed strangers. She blamed her father. She blamed everyone. Except herself. But no one believed her anymore. Diane's children were adopted by the prosecutor who sent her to prison. Christy and Danny grew up safe, far from Diane. She still sends letters. Still tries to talk to the media. Still claims she's innocent. But parole boards say she shows no remorse. And every time she asks to leave prison, she is denied. Because some mothers protect their children. But Diane Downs tried to destroy hers. Number 3, Andrea Yates. Andrea Yates looked like a kind, quiet mom. She was a nurse. She had a sweet smile. She lived in a small house in Houston, Texas with her husband, Rusty, and their 5 kids. Noah, 7. John, 5. Paul, 3. Luke, 2. And baby Mary, just 6 months old. Andrea homeschooled all 5. She rarely went out. Her life was quiet. But inside her mind, something dark was growing. Andrea had battled mental illness for years. She suffered from severe postpartum depression. She also had psychosis. She heard voices. She believed Satan was inside her. After her 4th baby, Andrea tried to end her life. She filled a glass with pills and water. She wanted it all to stop. She was taken to a hospital. Doctors warned. If she has more children, her condition will get worse. But 6 months later, she was pregnant again. After baby Mary was born, Andrea changed. She stopped smiling. She stopped eating. She pulled out her hair. She stared into space. Doctors told Rusty, "She's very sick. She should not be left alone." But Rusty thought she'd get better. He believed in faith. He believed in prayer. He believed she just needed rest. So one morning, he went to work and left Andrea alone with the kids. It was June 20th, 2001. A hot, sunny morning. Andrea filled the bathtub. Then she brought in her children. One by one. First, she held John underwater. Then Paul. Then Luke. Then Mary, the baby. Last was Noah, the oldest. He saw what had happened. He ran. Andrea chased him. And drowned him too. When it was over, she called 911. Then she called her husband. She said, calmly, "I killed the children." The world stopped. 5 children, gone. Killed by their own mother. People asked, why didn't anyone stop this? Where was help? How could a mother do this? Andrea told police, "I was saving their souls from hell. They were not right with God." She believed she was doing the right thing. She wasn't evil. She was deeply, painfully sick. In 2002, Andrea went to trial. She faced 5 counts of murder. Her lawyers said she didn't know what she was doing. But the jury saw 5 innocent lives lost. They didn't see mental illness. They saw murder. Andrea was found guilty. She was sentenced to life in prison. But that wasn't the end. Years later, her case was looked at again. A psychiatrist in the trial had made a mistake. He had lied. The verdict was thrown out. Andrea got a new trial. This time, doctors showed clear proof. She had severe psychosis. She truly believed her children were doomed. She believed killing them was saving them. This time, the jury saw the truth. Andrea was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Today, Andrea lives in a mental hospital. She takes her medicine. She stays quiet. She reads the Bible. She refuses interviews. She doesn't watch the news. She still says, "I'm sorry. I miss them every day." Rusty divorced her. He later remarried. But he still says she was sick. The system failed her. Number 4. Susan Smith. Susan Smith lived in Union, South Carolina. She was just 23 years old. She had 2 sons. Michael, age 3. Alex, just 14 months. She had recently divorced their father, David Smith. Life was hard. Money was tight. But Susan wanted more. She wanted love. She wanted a new life. She wanted freedom. And her children. They didn't fit that plan. On October 25, 1994, Susan drove with her boys in the back seat. It was after dark. She said she was just going for a drive. Hours later, she ran into the police station, crying. She said, "A black man with a gun carjacked me, took my Mazda, my children were in the back." The police believed her. A manhunt began. The story was everywhere. TV screens across the country showed Susan crying, pleading, "Please bring my babies home. They're all I have." Her face was on every news channel. People lit candles. Churches held vigils. Everyone believed her. But the police started noticing strange things. Susan failed a lie detector test. Her story kept changing. There was no trace of the carjacker. And then the biggest clue of all. She had no reason to be in that part of town. While the world searched for the boys, Susan had a secret. She was dating a rich man. Someone from a well-known family. In a letter, he told her clearly, "I can't be with a woman who has children." Susan felt trapped. She thought she had lost her chance at love. So she made a decision. One that would destroy everything. On November 3, 1994, 9 days after the boys went missing, Susan broke down. She told the police, "I let the car roll into the lake, with my boys inside." Divers were sent to John D. Long Lake. They found the car, upside down in 18 feet of water. Inside were Michael and Alex, still buckled into their seats. Cold. Lifeless. Gone. The world was stunned. People felt betrayed. She had blamed an innocent stranger. She used race to hide her crime. She lied on national TV, with tears in her eyes. And all along, her boys had been at the bottom of the lake. People were furious. They asked, how could a mother do this? In 1995, Susan Smith went on trial for double murder. Her lawyers said she had mental illness. That she had been abused as a child. That she was sad, lost, and not thinking clearly. But the prosecutors said, she made a choice. She planned it. She let her children die to chase love. The jury agreed. Susan Smith was found guilty. She was sentenced to life in prison, with a chance of parole after 30 years. Susan is still in prison today. She has been caught breaking rules. She has done interviews, saying, "I am not the monster people think I am." But many don't believe her. To the world, she will always be the mother who chose a boyfriend over her own sons. Michael and Alex would have been grown men today. They never got the chance. Number 5, Michelle Anderson. A small, peaceful town near Seattle. No crime. No drama. Just forests and quiet. In a home behind the trees, Wayne and Judy Anderson lived a calm life. They were parents to 2 grown children, Scott and Michelle. Wayne and Judy were kind. They loved their kids. And they adored their 5-year-old granddaughter, Olivia. On December 24, 2007, the family was gathering for a simple Christmas Eve dinner. No one knew they were walking into a trap. Michelle Anderson was angry. She believed her parents didn't love her enough. She said they had treated her like an outsider, ignored her struggles, didn't give her money when she asked. Her brother, Scott, had borrowed money from her and hadn't paid it back. Michelle felt forgotten. Left out. So, she made a plan. Not just to confront them, but to end them. She told her boyfriend, Joseph McEnroe, they had to do it together. And shockingly, he agreed. On Christmas Eve, Wayne and Judy came home from running errands. They stepped into the house, not knowing Michelle and Joseph were waiting with guns. Joseph shot Wayne first. Then Judy. They fell inside their own home, surrounded by the lights of their Christmas tree. Cold. Silent. Gone. But Michelle wasn't done. She cleaned up the blood, hid the bodies, and waited. Her brother Scott was on the way, with his wife, Erica, and their 5-year-old daughter, Olivia. When Scott and his family arrived, they walked in smiling. They saw the holiday table set. They didn't know they were walking into death. Joseph shot Scott first, then Erica, and then, as Olivia cried in fear, Michelle turned and said something no mother, no aunt, no human should ever say. "We can't leave witnesses." Joseph raised the gun and pulled the trigger. A child. On Christmas. Gone in seconds. Michelle and Joseph stayed in the house with the bodies. They ordered pizza. Watched movies. They waited for the right time to escape. They didn't go far. And they didn't clean everything. Blood. Shell casings. Fingerprints. It was all there. On December 26th, a co-worker of Judy's became worried. She called the police. Said Judy hadn't shown up for work. Deputies arrived. They opened the front door and stepped into a nightmare. At first, Michelle lied. But she couldn't keep it up for long. She cracked. And when she did, she admitted everything. How she planned it. How she waited. How she shot. And why. She said, "They deserved it. They treated me like garbage." Her voice was flat. Her eyes were cold. There was no sign of regret. The courtroom was silent when the details were read aloud. The jurors stared in horror. Michelle sat there quietly, showing no emotion. Joseph McEnroe also confessed. Said he didn't want to kill, but Michelle had pushed him. But the jury didn't care. Not after what they had done. Not after killing an entire family. Not after killing a 5-year-old girl. In 2015, Michelle Anderson was sentenced to life in prison without the chance for parole. Joseph McEnroe got the same. They would never see the outside world again. The home incarnation stayed empty. The Christmas lights were never turned on again. The trees around it still stand. But they now guard the memory of something evil. People in the town still whisper? How could someone do that to their own family? No one really knows. Because some darkness can't be explained. Only remembered.